Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Benjamin. I am focusing on the abolition movement and the Underground Railroad in New York State from 1830 to 1861. Slavery was abolished in New York State on July 4th, 1827, and although New York became a free state, there were varying levels of support for the slavery that still existed in the South. The project selects several abolition and freedom-focused people or events to display how New York addressed the issue of slavery leading up to the Civil War. Although there are records of escaped enslaved people from the first time slavery reached the colonies, most history projects have only focused either on white participation in the Underground Railroad or on Black movements that supported it. So for this project, I wanted to sort of mix the two and emphasize how the prominent roles of free Blacks, the self-emancipators, and everyone else who helped them along the way. So my events have a variety of both, of all three focuses. In a time when racism was a way of life for many, many people did fight to bring equality and freedom for everyone, and I think that's very important and inspiring. So this project aims to display how the abolition movement and the Underground Railroad in New York were imperfect and contentious at times, but countless people found freedom through partnerships and creative secret methods. There's some really interesting secret uh, codes that were used during the Underground Railroad that were part of how freedom seekers made their way to Canada. So since I live in New York State, I have always wondered, how slavery was addressed in my state. I knew that the North was earlier to end slavery, but I knew that it couldn't have just been a simple thing. So I decided to focus in the past on several local history projects of abolitionists in specific areas. And then through that, I realized that it was a very complex issue with people having various reasons and methods and inspiration for why they thought that abolition was important. And even what abolition should mean varied by different people and different groups. So, because of that, I did this project. I thought it would be interesting to try to display how that worked across the entire state of New York. And obviously, I can't, in 15 points, I can't cover every Underground Railroad station or every person that helped or every event. But I chose these spots because I thought that they displayed a variety of perspectives and methods that were used. I also traced a little bit of the Underground Railroad paths through New York. It's really interesting seeing how records can show different routes that they would have taken from stop to stop on their way to Canada. And I also discussed briefly why Canada was important. So I hope that this project is inspirational for issues that we are dealing with as a society today. I know many people are aware that slavery was a long time ago and that they think maybe it doesn't affect us as well today, but obviously it still does in the fact that we have racism and inequality throughout many areas of our world today. And so I think that the takeaways that I have for this project are all about how history can speak to the future. I really like looking at specific people, and seeing how they lived and how they addressed things and how that can relate, though even time is very different between 1830 and now. There's still a lot of ways in which people think that similar or the things that motivate them might be the same, and how that can teach us about how we can move forward and address the issues we're dealing with today. So my primary takeaways are the fact that although slavery ended, the issues of racism, inequality, and prejudice still remain in our society. And with that being said, there have always been people ready to fight for what matters. Disagreements often on methods or what exactly is the best way to handle the fight will come up, and those can usually stand in the way of our problems, whether the methods is violence or like activism, and how much that should incorporate violence is one specific to my project, but there's always disagreements on what way is the best way to handle things. But any cause worth fighting for is always going to require cooperation and risk, and that is how we can change the future, we can change our present, and how we can move forward. So I think this project matters because it can inspire change and healing for what has divided us for a long time. Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.